I just. It must be a little.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Pain-Free Posture. Let's get started. Take a moment just to feel your feet on the ground and just notice where your weight is this morning. Close your eyes and just feel where is there tension, where is there softening, and where between the right and left foot, do you feel the weight more on your heels or more on your toes? Maybe more on the inside or outside of your foot? Just check it out. See how balanced you're starting. And then let's start with our upper back today. If you have a wall that's easy to go ahead and go to it. Take your block with you if you're headed over there. And start heels at the wall, butt to the wall, head to the wall. And just line that all up. And then shrug your shoulders up toward your ears. Feel your upper traps activate. See how high you can get those. Let them contract all the way and then bring them down. Let your mid-trap work. Below your shoulder blades. Then slide them up again and push them down. Slide them up, push them down. Let's go 10 times. Feel where your rib cage is between your pelvis and your shoulders. And bring your middle back toward the wall if you're there. So that that front part of your rib cage isn't just popping forward. And release your shoulders completely. And then once again, bring them back, mini squeeze between your two shoulders, and then slide them up, press them down. All the way up, all the way down. Morning, Tim.
It's so colorful. Yes. Right side of our feet.
And release. Once more, squeeze between the two shoulders, slide them up, press them down. Begin to notice the breath moving into that east-west position in your rib cage. Big full breath in the diaphragm. Full and complete exhale. And then release. Step forward. Shoulder rolls up and back and around 10 times. And then reverse, back and up and around. As we begin to move the shoulders, letting the shoulder blades interact with the upper back, opening the space in the thoracic back 10 times backwards again. And then back to the wall once more. Shoulder squeeze. Pinch your shoulder blades together and release. Squeeze into the middle back part. Bottom edge of the shoulder blade moves back. So as you move it apart, the serratus muscles on the side activate. As you squeeze in, rhomboid and mid-trap, pull the shoulder blades together and release. Squeeze and release. Notice if your rib cage wants to just move out of the way as you do it, or can you bring the shoulder blades around your rib cage, keeping the rib cage stable? Great. Bring your elbows up in front of you and then go all the way back. If you're at the wall, use the wall. all the way back together. All the way back, letting the shoulder blades slide around the rib cage. Bring them back. They should begin to talk all the way to the fascia that goes down into your legs and feet. Your pelvis should be held stable just because it's touching the wall on both sides. So it should even out anything that might be contracting differently, a little bit of scoliosis perhaps, just an imbalance in the lumbar erectors. One more. Excellent. Take one step forward. Bring your leg up, finding your balance. And then imagine that there's a hurdle on the side. Keep your body in good alignment, holding straight up and down. Take that leg out to the side, like you're going over a hurdle and around. And then back around the other way, up, over, and around. So that ankle goes up first, internal rotation of that hip, back around, everything stable, back through. Excellent. Switch sides. Bring it up. Internally rotate and around. One more. Excellent. Up on your toes, straight legs, 10 times. Start to feel the muscles in your feet. Then you get up all the way to the ball of your foot and hold it. And is it the same between both sides of your calf? Finding some of those deep muscles in the lower leg. Good, now bend your knees. Notice if your knees want to go together. So keep them out, feel the butt muscles activate to hold those knees out. With the knees bent, go up onto your toes 10 more times. Control it. This time we're after more of the soleus, so underneath that gastroc. And you're also getting some of the muscles that go down to the bottom of your feet and control your toes. Excellent. Right into short foot. Let's do left foot forward first today. About 6 inches between your feet. Bend both knees. And then let's take your hands up behind your head today so that you're opening your elbows and we're getting the muscles that open when you bend that knee all the way up through your upper back. We're getting that to start to open, and then lift and press your toes down into the floor 10 times on the front foot. Check your back foot and make sure it's straight. Good, big breath. Open your rib cage. Notice if one side of your rib cage needs a little more air. out of it. Switch sides, back foot straight, 6 inches between your feet into that split hip position. Bend into the ankles, knees over toes, open your upper back. Big full breath, then lift and press your toes down into the floor 10 times. Feel muscles all the way up that leg, front leg, calf, maybe hamstring, maybe even outer hip. And then notice if you can find muscles underneath your shoulder blades. First side again. Bend deeply into that knee. Open the arms. And first side again. Excellent. Keep your hands behind your head, step together, keep your knees bent. You're going to go around in a circle. So knees over toes, butt sticking out behind you, and then open the leg. You're going to go around in a circle, finding that abduction and external rotation all the way around. And then go the other way. Turning that butt out and around, pivoting on your heel. Good, so the hip is abducting and externally rotating. First side one more time. We could certainly add some resistance to this if we had stretchy bands. That would give us more work in the hip. Second side one more time. And release your hands. Come down onto your hands and knees. Round and arch your back. Cats and dogs. Fingers spread wide. Allow your back to hang down toward the floor, shoulder blades to come together on your back. Letting your arm bones be like pillars. And then gently move your spine between them. Pelvis rolling over the top of your thigh bones. And then back, tucking your tailbone down. Rounding your back.
When we took our tailbone down, we want to squeeze our glutes too.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
Squeeze your glutes.
Find cherry on the Sunday.
Find that hip extension there. If you have pain in any end range movement, then do them smaller so that you stay out of that painful place. Then come to kneeling when you're ready. So kneeling keeps the muscles that cross the hip and the knee joint long. So they work in a different way here, just to hold you stable. The psoas from the low back that comes through your pelvis and hooks onto your inner thigh also has to be lengthened just to hold you in this position. If your quad or your psoas is really tight, then it might be hard for you to get out of an anterior tilt here. So just notice, how is it for you to come to neutral? And then let's go back to our elbow curls. Fold your fingers to touch your palms, bring your hands to your temples, elbows all the way together so they touch, and all the way back. All the way together, all the way back. toes and see if you can get the muscles that are on the inside arch of your foot to hug up into the foot a little bit. Muscles across the arch of your toes also to be working, okay? One side, bring one arm forward and make that arm work like a choo-choo train. Bring the shoulder back so it's rolling up and back and around, connected to the arm bone that's staying straight forward. That's going to work one side a little differently than the other. Get 10 of those in. And then reverse. And switch. Do you have more control with one side than the other? Sometimes the shoulder muscles can kind of glom together with the arm muscles or rotator cuff. And often we find that rotator cuff gets weak if that happens. Go the other way. Excellent. Arm circles. Fold your fingers into your palms, arms down to the side. Watch the position of your rib cage. Bring your arms up. Squeeze your shoulder blades just a little bit and circle forward. 20 circles. Can you get both shoulder blades to squeeze toward your spine? And take a full breath. And then backwards, palms up. Pinch the shoulder blades together. Notice if that changed anything in the relationship to your legs or hips. Big breath. Really squeeze your fingers to touch the palm of your hand, right where your fingers meet your palms. Tighten all those tendons, get the muscles of your fingers to squeeze all the way. And release. A little bit of a lean back. So control this. You're just going to take your quads into slightly longer position. So lean back right till you feel like your body's like, oh, that's far. And pull it back up. Good. Back a little. And pull it back up. Asking the quad to lengthen and engage at the same time. So we're in an eccentric contraction. Then from eccentric toward concentric, long muscle shortening. Good, and see if we can get a little bit farther each time. Beautiful. Back to hands and knees. And cats and dogs once again. Round and arch. Leave that all together. Moving with your breath. your back. Into foot circles, point flexes. Let's do left leg in first today, right leg out straight on the floor. So we're coming into that split hip position. I want you to keep a slight arch in your lower back. So as you bring that leg up, the spine is staying in good alignment. And then shoulders down and back, 20 circles all the way around. With the right leg extended on the floor, pull the outside edge of the pinky toe side back. Reverse. And point and flex. Switching sides when you get to 20. And circles. Reverse. And point and flex. And then taking your left arm up above your head, right knee stays bent, right into a cross crawl. I'll give you 2 minutes. Find your own pace with it. Switching your arm and leg. Your pelvis is being held by the floor. Your low back needs to have space between the floor and your low back the whole time. Feel your middle back and your head find its place on the floor. And switch. Pelvic tilts, both feet on the floor, rock it backward and forward. See if both sides move similarly. From flat, letting the pelvis tip posterior, opening up any tightness in the quad or hip flexor. And then roll it forward, more of an anterior tilt, finding those hip flexors. And back. And then roll to your belly. We'll go into some spinal stabilization from your stomach. Extending both arms in front of you. Drop the right arm to your side. Right leg, left arm lifting. You feel your pelvic bones or hip bones into the floor. Keep them stable as you take the leg up behind you. The leg should go up about 10 degrees, making the glute be that main lifter. And then release, swim your arms around, lift, hold, and release. Switch, lift, lower, release, lift, lower, release, lift, lower, release. Keep going. And then fold your hands so that your chin is on your two stacked fists, so that your upper body is just in slight extension. And then go into hamstring curls, up and down 10 times.
One leg at a time?
Yeah, one leg at a time. And then switch. One more time, switch. Good, and then let's explore that external rotation here. So bend the knee up into a hamstring curl, slide the knee wide and let that hip rotate as far as it'll go. Maybe that heel can come to the floor. Notice if the whole pelvis wants to lift way off the ground. See if you can keep that stable so the rotation happens in the hip joint itself, not so much in the low back or pelvis. Bring that leg up, sweep it in, release it, switch sides. Hamstring curl, slide the knee wide, good, stabilize through your belly, and allow that femur to rotate all the way down, and then up, in, release. Hamstring curl, knee wide, femur rotation, up, in, release. All the way up onto your hands and knees once again. Let's find some deep butt muscles. Take your leg wide, right leg out on the side. Bend the knee, hamstring curl, lift up toward the corner of the room behind you, crossing the other leg, then back down and out. 20 of those kicks. Lift way up back behind behind you and down. Elbows stay strong. Switch legs when you get to 20. Take it out wide, kick up across toward that opposite corner of the room, way up high and down. And then grab your block when you're ready. Left foot forward, right leg back. Heel on your block, knees going over your toes. Opening up that back hip flexor, letting that front knee go all the way forward. Shoulders relaxing down your back. And then take your right arm up, hold the wrist back. Again, some of us have this big fascial connection from the psoas all the way up into our arm. Some people don't, but for those of us that do, pulling on this, kind of like with your hamstrings when you flex your feet back, pulling on your wrist will open that space. Full breath. Push that hand up to the sky, open all the way up, knee over toe. Let your knee go forward of your toes. Let it bend as far as it's able to. And release. Switch sides. Bend into it, flex the wrist, pull it back, push that hand up to the sky, open that space. Knee over your toe, let it keep going forward, opening up those hips. Big breath. And release. First side again. You may do the same thing, or you can do those little presses, tucking your back toes under, lifting that back knee off the floor, down and up, little low lunges. Switch.
See.
And then move towards a child's pose if your body will allow that to happen. Taking your arms back behind you, let your shoulder blades just fall off your back and take a few deep breaths. Then press forward once again. Put your elbows down on the ground. You could do regular downward dog or downward dog on your elbows. You choose. If you're on your elbows, you could take your block and place your hands around it and then down. Your elbows should be just slightly narrow of your wrists. And then move your knees back behind you. Tuck your toes and press yourself up and back. Then you get to play with where you are, knees bent and pulling your chest down toward the floor. You can drop one heel and then the other. If this feels like too much, then go up and do a regular downward dog and play with that knee bent position. Big full breaths into the space underneath the armpits, pulling your heart down toward the floor, taking your sit bones up toward the sky. Come down when you're ready. You did a downward dog on elbows, then go into a regular downward dog. If you did a regular downward dog, you may rest or do it again. Pressing up. Everybody pull their heart down toward the middle of the mat. Big full breaths into the space in your upper back. Armpits spread wide and pull down toward the floor. Press through your whole palm. The middle of the palm lifts, so that thumb and pinky finger squeeze toward each other. Middle of the palm is like has a half an egg underneath it. It hollows and lifts like the arch of your foot. Paddle it out. And then come into a crouching cat. So, shoulders over your wrists, knees bent, butt into the air, hold it. Hovering your knees off the floor. Find your breath. 3 full deep breaths right here. And then pressing up and back once more. Maybe your hips can go side to side. The space between your rib, your hip, and your shoulder can lengthen even a little bit more. And then walk your feet to your hands and come all the way to stand. Good. Grab your block. Go into triangle pose. So turn so that there's about 3 feet between your feet. You can go block to the inside or the outside of your foot, your preference. Push your hips back. So this hip shift is important. And then press that leg straight. Front leg all the way. Link the calf into the hamstring. Yep, if you need to go wider stance to get to your block, you can. And then reach that arm up to the sky. From the outside edge of your back foot up into your pelvis, pull. From the front heel up into the pelvis, hug in. And then from your pelvis, extend out in all directions. Down back through your feet and out through your hands. And once again, 3 more breaths. Come up, switch your feet. Three feet between your feet. Take your block down to the outside of your foot. Outside edge of the back foot, pressing down. Then up through the inner part of that back leg, hug in. Front leg also, front heel pulls toward the back arch, into the core of your pelvis, and extend back out. Once you get there, add the breath. Inhale, come up. Both hands to the floor. Step back into a push-up position. And then however you want to get from here down to the floor, knees, chest, and chin, or lower all the way down slowly. Come down. Tops of your feet down on the floor. Lift your shoulder blades up and away from the floor. And then just find whatever mini cobra, regular cobra feels okay for you today. Remember, this is variable for every body. Feel where it is okay for you. And then come back to your hands and knees. Come all the way up. Back to standing. One more big extended lateral. So a little wider stance between your feet this time. I'm going to stay with my block. Bend deeply into this front knee. Front forearm to your front knee, or hand to the block, or hand to the floor. Once again, that outer edge of that back foot presses down, and then squeeze up into the core of your pelvis. And then let's take this bent elbow today, back like there's a wall behind you you're trying to reach toward. The shoulder blade moves toward your spine, and then add the breath. And come up. Switch your feet. Switch sides. Deeply bend. And then bent arm, working this shoulder back toward the wall behind you. Make it a square as much as you can. Make that arm into a right angle so that shoulder can find the muscles that hug back onto your back. That rhomboid and mid-trap underneath the shoulder blade, subscap, teres, all those muscles. Add the breath. And then both hands to the floor. One more time, step back, push-up position. However you can, lower down to the floor. One more cobra, mini cobra, full cobra. You decide where you're at. And downward facing dog. We'll hold this for a full minute. Spread your toes wide. Go way up on your toes for a minute. Feel that move all the way up through your hips. And then either knees bent or legs straight, root your heels back to the floor. Let that ankle go into full flexion. Feel your heels get heavy toward the earth. All of the muscles in the calf that need to let go so that ankle flexion can happen, allow that to happen. Maybe that's a positional change of the hip in the socket. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down. Last time, round and arch, cat and dog. And once more, let the joints compress. Child's pose. Hands back behind towards your heels. Allow your belly to suck up in towards your spine a little bit here so that the ribs can turn, the upper back can get round, the low back can get round. There can get even press at your pelvis. Pelvic floor hugs up, tailbone rounds down. And then come forward, come to seated or to lying down, whatever position you'd like to stay in for your meditation. Begin by just allowing your eyes to close. First, give your attention to your physical body and feel wherever it's resting on the floor. And then move your attention to the breath and notice where the breath is moving. Then today, I want you to take your mind and empty it. Empty it of the things that make, some may say, the small self. Your name, your relationships, your beliefs. Empty your thoughts. You can pick all that stuff up in a moment, but for now, let it go. Go to the place where you can just say, I am. And if you notice a thought trying to come back in, allow it to move out. Empty the space of your mind and experience the being. You give your attention to being or consciousness, what exists right here, right now, in this moment. The mind has a habit of thinking and taking you into that thought. If that happens again, just let it go. Come back to right now. I am. If there's even a thought of, I am the meditator, let that go even. Just into being. With one more breath, feel your physical body. Noticing your being is always a choice. And notice that layered upon that are all of the pieces that make up our personal identity. And you always have a choice to just release that and show up in the moment. Tends to be the more time you spend there, the easier it is, the more joyful it is. And there's a calm place that arrives because the triggers often have to do with our person, our beliefs, our identity. And when we can just take that moment to shift into pure being and notice what's arising, we can choose to let it go. Or at least have it drift into the background. With one breath, breathe in love and gratitude. Be that high vibration that you are walking in the world today. And anytime you notice your personhood shift into a different vibration, see if you can meet that with peace, love, gratitude. Go ahead and open your eyes. Have an awesome day, everybody. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Kyra.
Thanks so much, Kai.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyra.
Thanks, Kyra.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.